All right, let's jump right into this explainer. Today, we're breaking down the specific tier levels of the Restoring Hope Ministries, or RHM, Church Care Pathway Partner Program. If you've ever wondered how local congregations are successfully scaling their mental health and pastoral care without having to build massive internal infrastructures completely from scratch, well, this is exactly how they're doing it. We're going to open up the blueprints and look at the exact commitments behind this program.
Here is a roadmap for today. We're going to cover the pastoral care gap, the partnership pathway mechanics, the foundational support tiers, the equipping and training tiers, the maximum impact tiers, and finally, transforming your church. Let's hit it.
Section 1. The pastoral care gap. Silent struggles and pastoral strain.
To really understand the solution here, we first have to acknowledge the heavy and honestly often hidden burdens carried by your congregants. Think about it. When folks in your church face addiction, a broken marriage, grief, or severe trauma, and they just cannot afford professional help, where do they actually turn? Without a trusted referral pathway, they usually just suffer in silence. Or maybe they leave the church entirely, or they turn to secular alternatives that might lack a biblical foundation. And meanwhile, your pastoral staff is left trying to manage complex psychological situations they might not be fully equipped to handle.
There's a quote here that really hits the nail on the head. Most churches have people quietly struggling, who don't know where to turn and can't afford professional help. It's a heartbreaking reality, right? People fall through the cracks. The Church Care Pathway Partner Program was designed specifically to prevent that, by offering a structured, scripture-anchored counseling extension for your church.
Moving on to Section 2, the partnership pathway mechanics, how the baseline solution actually works. At its core, this program is a structured relationship with RHM to help you extend quality, scripture-anchored counseling without duplicating infrastructure. The crucial takeaway is that RHM absolutely doesn't replace your local church. Instead, your church becomes a designated county hub on their website, acting as a trusted connector for biblical counseling. You don't have to hire a full-time clinical psychologist or build a counseling center in your basement. You just utilize RHM's vetted, supervised counselors.
Now, before we get into the specific tiers, you got to understand these universal mechanics because they apply to every single level. The financial model's actually pretty brilliant. They don't offer totally free counseling because research shows having some skin in the game keeps people engaged. Instead, every $100 of your church's partnership tier partially subsidizes a session. So a $150 individual session drops to an affordable $50 for the congregant. And here's the best part. If your church doesn't use all its subsidies in a given month, that money is not lost. It rolls directly into a scholarship fund to help other families in need. Oh, and it's heavily emphasized that RHM is for planned care. It is not a 24/7 emergency service. Those immediate crises always need to go to 911 or 988.
All right, Section 3, foundational support tiers, immediate impact for hurting families.
This is where it gets really practical. Notice how accessible these entry levels are for churches of literally any size. You don't need a mega church budget to start making an impact. At the foundational level, the entry point is the support partner. It's just $250 a month, subsidizes 2 sessions, and gives you a 10% education discount at the Restoring Hope School of Biblical Counseling. Step up a bit to the Mercy Partner at $500 a month, and you jump to 5 subsidized sessions, a 15% discount, plus official listing as a church partner. Then there's the Shepherd Partner at $750 a month, covering 7 to 8 sessions. What I really love about the Shepherd tier is it adds 1 pastoral consult hour per quarter. That gives your pastors a trusted, professional colleague to consult with when they hit those incredibly complex pastoral moments.
But what do those numbers actually mean for a church? Look at this story from a women's ministry director at a church up in the Fox Valley of Wisconsin. Through their $500 a month Mercy tier, they got a silently struggling member into care. Fast forward, and she's now 14 months clean and is actually leading others in a women's recovery group. That is the exact kind of restoration we're talking about here.
Section 4, equipping and training tiers, moving from subsidizing care to actively training leaders. $1,000 a month. This is the commitment for the Barnabas partner level. And surprisingly, this is RHM's absolute most popular tier. For that $1,000 a month, your church gets 10 subsidized sessions, early access to crisis scholarship slots, a 25% education discount, and a highly valuable on-site or virtual workshop for your team.
But check out this massive strategic pivot. Moving from Barnabas to the equipping partner tier at $1,500 a month doesn't just buy you more sessions. Sure, you get 15 sessions and a 30% discount, but the real game changer is that it includes 1 sponsored trainee seat in a 9-month biblical counselor training cohort, complete with supervision and a practicum.
At this level, you aren't just outsourcing care, you're actively training and certifying a biblical counselor right from within your own pews. To put that in perspective, listen to this lead pastor from Wisconsin. He noted that the $1,500 equipping tier gave them something they totally didn't expect. They didn't just refer their problems outward, they built an in-house counselor who now leads an entire care team within their own walls. Talk about building lasting capacity. Which brings us to Section 5, Maximum Impact Tiers, Capacity Building for Community-Wide Transformation. Okay, look at this massive jump in scale. These tiers are for churches ready to underwrite serious community-wide mental health programming. We're talking about pushing subsidized sessions from 50 all the way to over 100 per month. This is for churches stepping up to act as a true regional hub for anyone in crisis. Let's break down exactly what you're getting at these highest levels, because the features are just incredible. The Cornerstone tier is $5,000 a month. That effectively underwrites a half-time counselor caseload, or 0.5 FTE. Basically, your church is funding a half-time counselor for the community. Plus, you get 3 trainee seats and an annual church-wide mental health weekend. The Legacy tier at $7,500 bumps that up to a 0.75 FTE caseload, 5 trainee seats, and biannual events. And the ultimate level, the Covenant Partner at $10,000 a month, that underwrites a full 1.0 FTE counselor caseload. You get 8 trainee seats a year, quarterly church-wide programming, a massive 50% education discount, and a named counseling fund in your church's honor.
Finally, Section 6, Transforming Your Church, Counting the Immeasurable Value.
Now, you might be looking at some of those numbers and thinking, wow, that's a serious financial commitment for our elder board to swallow. And you'd be right. But consider this perspective from a Midwest Elder Board chairman. They were nervous about the cost too. But within 3 months of starting their Barnabas partnership, a young couple on the absolute verge of divorce finally got the counseling they needed because they could afford it. Their marriage was completely restored. As the chairman said, the value is immeasurable. It goes far, far beyond a balance sheet.
This entire RHM care pathway is built directly on Galatians 6:2. Carry each other's burdens, and in this way, you will fulfill the law of Christ. So as we wrap up this explainer, I'm going to leave you with this provocative thought. When you look at the silent struggles happening in your congregation right now, which partnership tier is God calling your church to step into so that no one in your pews ever has to suffer alone again?